In this video, let's talk about functions in C++. A function can be defined as a group of statements that together perform a specific task. Basically, we group together several statements into one block, surround it within curly braces, and give it a name, and that becomes a function. It can be invoked or called from other parts of the program. In fact, the main function which we have been working with throughout all our programs is also a function which executes the statements written by the user and provides some output to the users. In C++, every user-defined function has three main parts. These are called as function declaration, function definition, and function call statement. Function declaration declares the function to the compiler. It is like an introduction of the function to the compiler. It tells the compiler and to the users about the return type of the function, the name of the function, and any list of formal parameters. The syntax is very simple. We first mention the return type, then we mention the function name, and list of formal parameters is included within a pair of parentheses, and we terminate this statement with a semicolon. Function definition includes all the statements that make up the body of the function. These statements together perform some task and produce some output to the users. It basically defines the logic of the function. The syntax of a function definition is similar to function declaration. Here again we have to type the return type of the function, then name of the function, and list of any formal parameters. But instead of terminating this statement with a semicolon, we have to further write down the body of the function within a pair of curly braces. The return type of the function tells us about the data type of the value that the function returns. If the function returns nothing, then the return type is void. The name of the function is defined by the user based on the task that the function performs. The list of parameters alongside the name of the function refers to the type, order, and number of parameters of a function. These are the values which the function requires to carry out its task. Parameter list is optional and the function may not contain any parameters. The name of the function together with the parameter list constitute the function's signature. Function call statement is written when we want our function to execute or to perform its task. It only includes the name of the function, and a list of actual parameters may also be provided if we had mentioned a list of formal parameters during function declaration and function definition. These actual parameters are the real values which will be supplied to the formal parameters, and then the function operates on them. In C++, we have two main categories of functions. These are called as standard library functions and user-defined functions. The standard library functions are those which are already built into the programming language, and they require inclusion of concerned header files in the program in order to be used. The second category, which is the user-defined functions, are defined by the users themselves to fulfill their own requirements within the program. The user-defined functions can be further classified into number 1, function with no return statement. That means the function does not return any value to the calling portion of the program, yet it performs its task. And number 2, the function with return statements, when the function returns some value to the calling portion of the program. In this program, we will first create a function without using a return statement, and then we will create the same function using a return statement. And that function is to add two integers and print their sum. So first of all, I will have to declare my function. So again, my function declaration statement goes above the main function, and let's give our function some good name. Let's say it is add function. And here I am creating the function without return statement. That means no value will be returned and function will only print something on the screen, and that something is the sum of two integers. So when the function is not returning anything, use the return type void, and the function name is add, and here I am not using any arguments. I will later on tell you how to use arguments. Again, this is a function declaration, so only return type and name of the function is enough if the function is not having any return any list of parameters, and here we will type semicolon. Function declaration is over. Let me create some more space. so that it is more visible to you. Then again I will go with the function definition statement. So here goes function definition. Again I will type return type as void, name of the function is add, no list of parameters, curly braces will have to be typed, and let's call our integers as a and b. Both are integers, that means the data type for both variables a and b is int, and a is the name of my first variable, b is the name of the second variable. And because I have to print the sum, so let's say the result is stored in some variable called sum, which is also of integer type because the sum of two integers is also an integer. Here I will type, here I will ask the user enter the value of a. A is my first variable, so user will have to provide one integer value for a, and similarly I will ask the user enter the value of b, and again semicolon, then C in B. In the next statement, in the sum variable, I have to include the sum of A plus B, and finally I will print it as sum of two integers is equal to, and here I will type sum. So this is my function. Again, no return statement is to be included here because this is a function without return statement. All I need to do is to call this function inside the main function. See, every time we are creating any function, we have to call it inside the main function because main function is actually responsible for executing our program statements. So without main function, your program will not work. So just keep that in mind, that you have to declare your user defined functions above main function, define them below main function, and call them inside main function. So here I am going to type my function call statement, and the name of my function is add semicolon return 0, and I have actually saved it already as function 2.cpp. So I am just going to run the program, and here it is prompting me to enter value for a, let's call it 10, and for b it is 20, so sum of two integers is 30. Now I am going to modify the same function to show you how to use the return statement for a function. In this function, we are actually adding two integers and printing their sum, which is also an integer. That means in order to return a value, we have to change the return type of the function to int, because an integer is being calculated and returned to the user. So here I have to change the void return type to int return type in function declaration, and same goes with function definition. Here also I have to replace void with int. Again, two variables have been declared inside the function definition. A sum variable has been declared to store their sum. Enter value for a, input a, enter value for b, input b. Sum has been calculated, and finally I don't need this print statement because here I will be returning the sum. So I will simply type here return sum. So this is the inclusion of the return statement inside the function. So we are calculating the sum and returning it to the calling portion of the program. Now if we execute this function, let's say compile and run, and we will notice that it is asking me to enter value of a and also enter value of b, but it is not able to print the value which is returned as the sum. So in order to print that sum, we will have to add one print statement before this function call statement. So simply we can type here cout/n sum of two integers is equal to, and again output operator, and then the name of the function can be written like this, and let's execute it. Let's see if the program is working better now. So let's say the value of a is 70 and value of b is maybe 65. So the sum of two integers is 135.